Hey everybody, it's Party Elite! Welcome you back to another episode of our Planet Zoo franchise mode Let's Play. We're gonna dive right back into Elite Zoo South. It has been so very long that I've been waiting to say that, and I'm so glad that I was finally able to. Folks, we're finally back. We are finally back after... well, the move was smooth, but the renovations overstayed their welcome by about a month. I had no regular life or schedule or anything for well over actually a month now, and it's been a struggle to try to get everything up and running again, but I can now happily say that that's all behind us and we're able to move forward with a regular schedule. We're back to adding animals, we're back to building complicated places for them to stay and have fun. We're back to looking at them running around and just having a good time while having a good time ourselves as well. I gotta say, I've been missing Planet Zoo so much, and I've seen your comments, during the odd live stream I was able to pull off and the odd video I was able to upload. I've seen your comments, and I can tell that many of you have been missing Planet Zoo as well. I just want to say really quickly again, I apologize for the extended delay. It was well out of my hands, unfortunately. It's very hard to record, as you can imagine, when there's hammering and drilling and all that kind of stuff going on in, like, the weirdest of hours, too. But ultimately, on top of that, I also want to say thank you again, as I've said in the past, for being so patient. It really does make a world of difference in just, like, my stress levels, because I don't like delaying videos. I don't like leaving people hanging. It really bothers me more than I can explain. So when I see that people are, understanding and patient, it means the world. So thank you so very much for that patience. It really helped me through the last, quite a few weeks now in the sense of how concerned or worried or upset I was myself at just the situation. But hey, like I was saying, all that's behind us now. We don't have to think about that situation anymore because we are back, not just with Planet Zoo, but with everything else that happens on the channel regularly as well. And on top of that, we're going to be getting some new things going on as well. I've had a couple of plans that I've wanted to execute on for the last little while, and in some ways, the delay that we just tackled has helped some of those plans come to fruition, and hopefully y'all will enjoy some of those other elements and aspects that I've been working on as well. Now, I want to kick things off right away today. I don't want to bore you with a prolonged introduction or anything. There's a lot I want to get done today, and I think it'll be a good sort of welcome back to Elite Zoo South, because what we're going to do today is actually not focus on this area like we've been doing for the last couple of episodes. We're not going to focus on this area. Instead, we're going to pull back to this area, and we're going to add not one, but two animals today. I have a fun, or at least I think it's a fun plan for this little nook over here. And if it works nicely, I'll be very happy. Now, of course, as is always the case with the Elite Zoo Company, we're going to try and go above and beyond. We're going to see just how, I guess, technically malleable, I'm going to say, this game can be at times. We're going to be adding one of the animals from the newest DLC, but also an animal from the base game. Again, we have roughly 9 or so animals left to add. And then, of course, there's all the, the creepy crawlies and stuff from this region as well that we need to add. So we have a couple of things to add that I'm hoping to get done, in quick fashion, starting with, yes, 2 animals today. So first order of business is we're going to take a look at the information for both of those animals, go through their Zoopedia entries. I almost said articles. I always feel like article is the word, but no, I think entry is the word to go with. So yeah, we're going to be looking at their Zoopedia entries, and then we're going to have our time lapse. We're going to add the animals in, see them at play, so it's a full episode for our first episode back. And folks, if I happened to miss any important, urgent, or otherwise, pressing comments or suggestions or thoughts in the previous episode's comments or in the handful of prior episodes' comments, please don't hesitate to give me a little nudge, because it's been so long since I've read some of the comments that usually it's like, oh yeah, I'll remember this. It's been so long now that it's very easily, it's very possible rather that it slipped out of my mind. So don't hesitate to give me a little nudge if that is the case with regards to something you said that was particularly important, especially if you wanted to get your name in, on one of the sponsor boards as one of the staff and I happened to miss it. Again, I apologize, but do not hesitate to give me a little reminder there. Now, why don't we go ahead and, maybe some of you remember which animals I was talking about adding over here, but maybe you don't. I'm sure the thumbnail, to a degree at least, has given it away, but one of the animals we'll be adding is the aardvark, and the other animal we'll be adding is the meerkat. So this is one of the few examples, one of the few cases where there's an interspecies enrichment opportunity. And I know that sounds funny considering that the last 4 or 5 episodes have all been about animals that have that interspecies enrichment. But by and large, animals don't really have that. So I thought, let's take advantage of this. Plus, I have some fun ideas for the meerkat integration in this space. And that's where that technical malleability comes into question, and I'm curious to see if what I have planned will actually work. So we've got a lot to go through. Let's start going through it. The aardvark, also known as the Orsteropus afer, or is that a hard C? I think that's a hard C, right? Oricteropus afer. I don't know. Neither of those sound right. I'm not sure. But they are of least concern. Population in the wild is actually unknown. The aardvark is a medium-sized insectivore. I didn't know that was a word. Like, I know carnivore, omnivore, herbivore. I just thought insectivores fell under carnivore. And I always thought, it's funny, you learn something new every day. I always thought that, there's got to be a separate word for animals that, specifically eat insects. But I never put too much thought into it. I guess insectivore is that word, just less commonly known by the average individual, I guess. Because I just thought eating insects, you're still a carnivore, right? It's still meat for protein. I don't know. I'm sure there's an explanation there and a justification to separate them because, of course, the behavior is very different, I guess, in an insectivore versus in a carnivore. Anyway, the aardvark is a medium-sized insectivore that lives throughout sub-Saharan Africa. They have pink-gray skin with sparse, coarse hair, large, slender ears, and an elongated head that ends in a pig-like snout. Males are slightly larger than females, but both sexes are generally between 42 and 52 inches long and have a tail between 24 and 28 inches and weigh between 88 and 143 pounds. The aardvark is not endangered, but it is vulnerable in certain areas. They need a large foraging range in the wild to allow them to acquire enough food, so they are affected by land use change, like the expansion of farmland and urban areas. Sometimes they are killed by farmers who want to prevent them from digging up their land, and they are also affected by pesticides that kill the insects they feed on. They are protected in national parks and nature reserves. Okay, so by and large they're safe, but there are a few, problem areas, I guess, specific. I guess it boils down to maybe I'm overstating it potentially, but habitat loss is what it sounds like. They're running out of space to live on, and while it's not desperate times yet, as we move forward, just as a species, and as we humans need more and more land to make more and more food for more and more people, the aardvark might eventually start to see some trouble because they have nowhere to, sequester themselves off in. Interesting. Natural habitat, yes, pretty much all of sub-Saharan Africa except for a couple of areas. They are comfy with grassland and tropical climes. That's good. We'll have some plant variety and stuff going on. And yeah, they don't need too much space. I was a little worried when I read that they need all this space for foraging. It does say in the wild over here. So I was like, okay, we should be fine. 330 meters square. I think we have way more than that space in this little nook we're trying to put them in. So I hope that works out. Species data, group size, excluding juveniles, is 1 to 2, up to 1 male, up to 1 female. The bachelor group sizes, male and female, are both 1 to 2. There is no dominant system, and the mating system is polygynous. They are shy as far as their relation with humans, but guests can enter the habitat. Ooh, I'm pretty sure guests can enter meerkat habitats too. And now I wonder if I want to integrate that somehow. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. I wouldn't mind it, but whenever a habitat is open to guests, like walking through and stuff, immediately it causes such a it becomes such a to-do, mainly because of the guest gate being so wide. There's only one type of guest gate. You have to place the path a certain way. All that kind of comes together to make it a bit of an effort. And then on top of that, I already kind of have an interesting plan for this area for which I will need some space. So maybe we'll make it so that guests can walk in, but it's not a priority for me, I'm going to say. Now, size is relatively close, 20.8 inches tall at the shoulder for males, 21.2 for females. Life expectancy, 18 years across the board, and weight, 110 pounds across the board. Sexual maturity at 2 years, sterility at death. Number of offspring per mating event is 1. And I guess you got to cycle them in and out, as they mature right away. Fair enough. Gestation is 7 months, interbirth is 24, and reproduction in captivity is easy. Social needs. With the exception of a mother and her cub, aardvarks are solitary in nature. They only interact when mating or competing over mates. Reproduction. During the mating season, male aardvarks will track females in their burrows by scent and stay with them for a few days. If and when she is receptive, he will mate with her before leaving the burrow. Males may mate with several females during the mating season. The female is pregnant for 7 months before giving birth to one cub, which will remain with its mother for 6 months, learning how to forage and dig burrows before leaving and digging its own. They become sexually mature at 2 years old. Okay, relatively simple. Compared to some of the more complicated ones we've been reading recently, relatively simple. Research status, of course, we've got nothing on these guys. Looks like they have nothing special as far as enrichment is concerned either. Now, of course, there's a termite mound, which was the result of a DLC from a long, long time ago, if memory serves me right. But again, I say this every time. It would have been nice if every animal had at least one special enrichment item. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've thought about this out loud fairly often. I wish you would get a small description as to why an animal is partial to a particular enrichment item. I've always been curious about that. Again, many of you are familiar with the fact that I have a pet rabbit, Elizabeth, and she definitely has her preferences. There's some toys that she likes to play with. We'll buy her toys. We'll buy her rabbit toys, right? And there's some toys she'll love to play with, and there's some toys that she'll not even give the time of day, that she'll never interact with. She'll just be like, whatever, this doesn't interest me. There are some colors that she seems partial to, as far as we can tell. If there's a couple of toys that are the same thing but different colors, she'll always gravitate towards a couple of colors while ignoring a couple of others. Now, of course, rabbits have a color shift. They're not color blind per se, but they see a different spectrum. So that, is probably impacting that decision making. But I'd be curious, for other animals as well. The aardvark enjoys the rubber duck because, why, right? We have a thing that looks like a rabbit, like a plush looking rabbit as a toy for Elizabeth, and she'll groom it. And it's does she recognize it as a rabbit? It looks rabbit-esque, so all these kinds of things come to mind for me very often because I have, a lovely animal companion of my own. So I kind of wish, that we kind of got that information for some of these things as well. Some of them are obvious, like a cardboard box. Okay, I get it. The scent marker. Okay, I understand. But some of the other ones, I do wish we had a little bit to go on. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Over to the meerkat. The suricata. Oh, hey, I don't think I noticed this when I did the DLC coverage, but well, maybe I did. I must have. There's only one T here, but two T's here, and why is my question. Again, I'm not familiar enough with Latin to be able to guess. Least concern as well. Population in the wild is unknown. The meerkat is a species of social mongoose that is found in complex underground burrows in the savannas and semi-deserts of southern Africa. It lives in family packs and is considered to be eusocial, meaning it is highly socially organized and pack members have strongly defined roles within their group. Meerkats have a flat, pointed head and a colored face with black eyes and ears. They have a mottled pattern of gray and yellow fur on their back and a pointed, black-tipped tail. Meerkats move on all fours but assume a distinctive stance on their hind legs when alert. The meerkat has a head body length of 9.6 inches to 14 inches and weighs between 21.7 ounces and 33.95 ounces. These numbers mean nothing to me. Grams and kilograms, baby, all day, every day. I don't ounces, pounds. Look, pounds are currency as far as I'm concerned. Females tend to be heavier than males. The meerkat is not endangered. I wonder, being a writer for these, sometimes like finding that last sentence has got to be like, how do I segue into the meerkat is not endangered? It can't be easy. All right, the natural habitat. So you can see it is Southern Africa, not South Africa, Southern Africa. So of course there's the overlap with Sub-Saharan Africa. Now here we have only the grassland biome as an option, so that does limit our vegetation a little bit, because we had tropical with the aardvark, right? So that does limit us to just the grassland, but I think that's okay. It's a relatively small-ish, packed-ish kind of a space. I think we can make it work, hopefully, without sacrificing the look and feel, but also without sacrificing the happiness of the animals, of course. They need even less space, so that's all good. And we should be more than okay for all the requirements over here. As far as species data is concerned, group size 2 to 30. See, this is where I start to wonder. I don't necessarily want 30 meerkat running around needing to, be cleaned up after and all that kind of stuff, because we see what happens when we try that. But this is where I start to wonder. It's like, do we have enough space for, what do you think? Maybe 5, 6, 7 would be a nice number of meerkats, I think. Roughly, give or take. We'll see. Either way, group size, excluding juveniles, is 2 to 30. Male bachelor group size is 2 to 12, whereas the female bachelor group size is 2 to 3, much smaller. And that typically, I think, indicates what you see in the dominant section over here, alpha female in a matriarchal society. Typically, the side that has the alpha is the side that has the smaller bachelor group size, is I think the running pattern. And that makes sense, because you get a lot of fighting otherwise. Mating system is polyandrous. Relation with humans is neutral, and guests can enter the habitat. See, now the aardvark is shy, so maybe it is for the better that we don't make this an enclosure that the guests can get into, because they start getting stressed out, they get upset, and maybe we should avoid that. I don't know. Again, I'm still on the fence about it. Still on the fence about whether guests should be allowed on just one side of the fence or both sides of the fence, I guess. Size average is 12 inches long. Life expectancy is 15 years across the board. Weight, 27.125 ounces. Very specific. Life cycle age of sexual maturity is at 3 years. Sterility is at death. Offspring per mating event, 3 to 6. Gestation of 2 months. Interbirth of 12. And reproduction, easy. Good stuff. Social needs. Meerkats are a highly social species and should never be kept alone. Ideally, meerkats should live in family packs to replicate the social structure that exists in the wild. Reproduction. In a meerkat pack, there is an alpha female who will give birth to most of the pups in the pack. Subordinate females occasionally reproduce, but their young will be at risk of being killed by the alpha. Subordinate females are more likely to reproduce in highly productive times when there is plenty of food available. I find this very fascinating, in fact. To initiate mating, a male will fight with the alpha female, and she will attempt to fight him off. Fighting can be quite rough with grabbing and face nipping. If the male wins the fight, he will grab the female round the middle and mate with her. After a pregnancy of 60 to 70 days, the female will give birth to 3 to 7 pups. The pups remain in the den until they are 16 days old, where they are protected and fed by the alpha female as well as other pack members. Between 16 and 26 days old, the pups will venture to the entrance of the den and may be seen playing there. At 26 days old, they will begin foraging with the adults, who will teach them how to hunt different types of prey. An example of this is how adults teach young to pull the sting off scorpions before eating them. Man, I know I said this when I was doing the DLC coverage as well, but some of you might not have watched that. That's how... Does that not blow your mind? Does that not blow your mind? Like generational... There's so many behaviors on display over here that it just... Like teaching your kid not to, stick a fork in the electrical socket, except I guess that's not an entirely fair comparison, because at least, eating a scorpion, it's only nature. Electrical sockets aren't nature, so to speak. But we have the same stuff with a lot of food, like, oh, don't eat that part because it's, what is shrimp and prawn and stuff, right? It's like, oh, you shouldn't eat that part because whatever. And it's just, you see that behavior in animals like this. There's so many layers of things to discuss there. Just generational knowledge, that some things I guess aren't instinctual. Is that taught behavior? If a pup wasn't taught to remove the sting, would it just never realize to do it? Does it have to be taught behavior? Anyway, again, I digress again, as I do. But it makes you wonder, it makes you think, makes me think at least. I love this kind of stuff. Anyway, pups are weaned between 7 and 9 weeks old. By 12 weeks old, pups are independent and can forage without help. Juveniles will reach sexual maturity between 2 and 3 years old. Males will migrate from their natal group when they reach sexual maturity and go in search of an unrelated pack or an unattached female with which to start their own pack. Females are more likely to remain with their natal pack because they have the possibility of ascending through the ranks to be alpha female one day. However, if a subordinate female challenges the alpha female and loses, she will be ousted from the pack. The alpha female is determined by age and size, but younger females will vie for this position when the previous alpha becomes too old to defend her status. Males may leave their pack on their own or in groups of 2 to 3. When a male locates an unrelated meerkat pack, he is likely to be met with hostility. He will have to hover on the edge of the group for several days before being accepted. If a single male and single female locate each other, they may start their own pack. Now, I was literally just saying it, which is why I find it so funny, but consider all that for the reproduction over here on the meerkat and compare that to the aardvark, where there's like next to nothing to say. The question is like, is it really that simple, or did the developers keep it simple because this was one of the base game animals and they didn't know exactly how much information people would want to see, and so they kept it simple. Whereas, as it got more comfortable with people's interest levels, they were like, oh, people actually want more details. I mean, I know I want more details always, so there's something to think about. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more information here, and not all of it has to do with reproduction, right? So anyway, the lines are blurry. Over to research status. Of course, we have, oh, hello. All right. This will be fun. There's actually some habitat enrichments that we are not familiar with, so I like that. That's good. And of course, there's all the fun facts that we'll be waiting on as well. As far as interspecies, of course, there's the aardvark. Now, I can't remember, did we end up reading the fun facts of the chimpanzee? I don't think we did. I don't think we did. I feel like I would remember the U.S. Air Force line over here. Y'all let me know, and we can go over the Western chimpanzee fun facts maybe next time or something. We spent a lot of time reading so far today, so I think we're done with that for now. Let's go ahead and actually look at getting these animals in here. So yeah, my plan is to have we're gonna have to clear out some of these trees because I don't think these animals will be partial to some of these trees, and I want it to be a layered enclosure. I want to have a top floor, so to speak, and a bottom floor as well. So like I said, it's already a pretty complicated enclosure. I need to get a staff door in here anyway, which is why I wonder if I really want the guests to be able to come in here too. And I think the answer is going to be a resounding no. The more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I feel confident in that. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is going on over here. We have a dead animal. Let's go ahead and call the vet for Tamia. Are you sure she's dead? She might just be asleep. And of course, we've got these Nile monitors that are still in their boxes for some reason. I really hope that between the last time I've been, playing and now, a long time has passed. I really hope some of the issues that were harassing me are gone. And when I say that, I mean things like this enclosure over here. I know. I've been stubborn. I know. But look, this is a thing that needs to be fixed. And as somebody who covers these games and talks about them on my channel and etc., I can't personally, my humble opinion, I can't ignore these kinds of things, because if somebody asks me, oh, how what are the bugs like in Planet Zoo, I need to be able to say well, there's a couple things that don't work, and here are some examples. That's just because of, in my opinion, what I try to do and be on YouTube and just in life in general, I guess. Okay, well, we'll take a look at the Nile monitors in their boxes afterwards. I do want to get these animals in today. Let's go ahead and take a look at animal trading. Let's go ahead to the animal market and get ourselves the aardvark. There we go. Just want to check first in case there are some worthwhile options to pick up. Let's go ahead and grab you from Zubara. Send you over to, so we've got ourselves a male aardvark. We just need one female aardvark, and we'll take a look at some meerkats as well, of course. Whoops, ran right past this quarantine there. Cool. And over to animal trading. Just gonna check the aardvark again. These guys are all, they're well, I need a female actually. There's just the one available right now. It makes me wonder if I shouldn't just scoop her up, you know? We can give it some time. We can give it like 30 minutes it'll take before we maybe get a new cycle of aardvarks to pick from. So why don't we wait until after the time lapse? Let's go ahead and take a look at some meerkats as well. Okay. My K got stuck there, I guess. That was weird. Meerkats. We have... wow, some really bad longevity stats there, eh? Alright, we got Nyasha here, male, decent stats. Joanna's Animal Company, I assume. Ooh, hello. We can get ourselves another male from Zootopia here. Fertility is low, but very good stats otherwise. So if we get lucky, this isn't infertility due to problems. We might get lucky and actually have a birth from 4, who we'll rename. I assume 3 and 2 are from the same... Oh, you know what? They might be the result of inbreeding, now that I look at it. We'll see. We'll see what comes of that. What do we have here? Oh, wow, I guess they're not so easy to get good stats out of, eh? Nyasha over here from Joanna's Animal Co. That's another male. I mean, it doesn't matter if we have multiple males from the same... That's not even a second page. I pressed next. I know I pressed next. I had a feel. I was like, everything looks very familiar. These are really not the best stats. I guess we have a little bit higher fertility here. So, oh, but they might be related. Glad I checked. It's not often that I do. Okay, these are, I think, better stats then. Sure, let's go for it. Let's go for it. And animal storage. God, we have so many animals that need trading. I mean, what do you guys think about a trade session? What do you guys think about a trade session? I'll probably do it similar to how I've done the last few, which is like a live stream trade session. We actually get trade happening when we do a live streamed trade session. I know some of y'all don't necessarily watch live streams and don't quite care for them, but as far as efficiency, you know, rather than every other episode, me going to, oh yeah, my animal storage and me having to, can I... Okay, there we go. Weird. It didn't say meerkat anywhere. Rather than me coming in every other session being like, okay, let's check prices and put these guys up again for 65 animals and more by the time we get to it, I assume. Rather than do that, I think it's far more efficient and far more just effective to have a live stream, chill, hang out a little bit, you know, chat, and get some trading done, clear out the storage, and then, you know, have much more room for many more animals. We got a lot. We got a lot of animals in storage over here that I would, apart from, of course, Red 5, I would happily trade out, basically, all these boys and girls. So y'all let me know what you think about a live stream trade session sometime relatively soon. With that said, I think we're just about ready to dive on in. There's not much else I want to tackle. I'm thinking we get this done. That's our time lapse, and we get the animals in, hang out with them a little bit, and that's our episode. So, folks, for the first time in a very long time, it's time-lapse time. Alright, folks, I am so pleased to be back and finally on track with Planet Zoo again. Really excited to be able to dive into a time-lapse today. I was a little worried initially that I'd be so bogged down by management stuff, I'd be so bogged down by just re-familiarizing myself with Elite Zoo South that I wouldn't even get a chance to do a time-lapse, but we can set all those concerns aside. I was pretty hell-bent on doing a time-lapse today, but you never know what can end up happening. For example, actually, today's episode almost didn't happen again because my internet was dead for basically the entire day, and with franchise mode, you need to have an internet connection. So I was just like, are you serious? I finally get a chance to sit down and record, and something's got to come up, but that sorted itself out, fortunately. Anyway, ramblings aside, I am really excited for today's time-lapse and to share the end result with you because I actually, for some reason, decided that the first time-lapse back should be in a setting and style that I'm not actually very comfortable with. I've said this time and time again, I find that my weakest, what are they called? Enclosures. The word was escaping me for a second there. But I find that my weakest enclosures are the ones that are largely sort of plain. And by that I mean, like, yes, kind of flat, don't have any major kind of constructs on them or anything like that. And I'll talk a bit more about that after the time lapse, so I don't want to repeat myself over here. But ultimately, this space over here does rely more heavily on the things that I'm not as good at than the things that I am good at. So that was a fun way to return to Planet Zoo, I thought, with a bit of an extra challenge added in. But what I wanted to do over here that I thought was really interesting is create this sort of two-tiered space. And I might have mentioned this just before the time lapse as well, but I thought it worked nicely for an animal, especially that burrows, that's the meerkat, to have like this idea of elevation kind of integrated into the space. We already had this really nice kind of ramp that I, to be honest about, never really loved per se. I thought it was fine. I thought it worked nicely enough. I thought it needed some work. It needed some supports. It needed to like be filled in along the sides or something. And ultimately, a couple of episodes ago when we were finally talking about using these spaces up, back then I was like, ooh, we could maybe do something here. And now here we are actually, taking advantage of the space and taking advantage of the ramp that, again, I liked, but I felt needed something, and I feel like this is what it needed, and so now I'm pleased with that ramp, I'm pleased with this transitional kind of space, and I'm pleased with the end result of the enclosure as well. Just seeing the animals, use the ramps to go up and down, have access to different, wants, needs, what have you, on the different layers, and guests themselves also have sort of an incentive to either view them from up top or from down below. And of course, this is a bit of a transitional space. You're either going, let's say, towards the zebras and the giraffes, or you're coming from the the center of the zoo, or you're coming from the otters, and it's a nice kind of a engaging, I think, space as you move from point A to point B. You can kind of engage with these animals who are maybe not as popular as they should be in other zoos. I mean, I feel like meerkats are fairly popular, and I think there's an obvious reason why, but aardvarks especially, I feel like they don't get enough love for how adorable they can be. But yeah, so I quite like the space. I quite like the use of this space. It makes me think again of the otter enclosure, where we kind of like retrofit the space to fit an animal, and I'm really pleased with the otter enclosure, which funnily enough we're right next to here. And so in the same sort of a way, this enclosure is a bit of a retrofit, where we had this space and it was kind of sitting there empty, not really doing anything for us apart from looking kind of nice. But now we've gone back in there, we've reassessed the space, we've reassessed the situation, and we've made it into something far more, worthwhile, I guess, not just for us, but for the guests as well. Really pleased, actually, with this space and the end result. And saying worthwhile reminds me, I actually forgot to put down donation bins, so I need to remember to put down donation bins when we get back in next session. But yeah, creating a couple of burrows and sort of holes in the walls, trying to not make them look like caves. I've got this one that looks like a cave, but for the most part, trying to make it look like they've been dug in. Over here, I kind of felt like, okay, they were digging until they reached the edge of this massive, rock structure or whatever, and then that's where the digging stopped. So trying to build a couple of burrow-like shapes and structures to make it work as far as the animals are concerned, and also trying to put down a lot of this grass, which I really love, actually. I'm really happy to see that grass. I'm really happy to use that grass, because you get that tall grass feeling without that tall grass ugliness, I guess. And I'm kind of implementing some thoughts and suggestions I'd received in the past about other things, particularly the mud baths for the hippos, trying to integrate some feedback I got way back then to the space over here. And again, really pleased with how it all comes together. Personally, for me, I feel like it's a good like indication, or perhaps a good I guess signifier is maybe a better word, of sort of personal growth as far as dealing with these spaces is concerned. Is it my favorite? Is it some of my finest work? I don't think so. I can be honest with myself like that. I don't think it's the best I've ever done, but I do think it's better than any of the planes. It's a better starting point than any of the planes starting points I've had in the past. Make sense? Like I feel like I've come a long way, and doing this enclosure is a good showcase of how I have, in fact, I think, yes, come a long way, and I'm sort of quicker on my feet, quicker on my toes about how to make these spaces a bit more interesting and have more happen to them. I'm also trying to avoid things like waterfalls and visual effects in general, because we're having those frame rate problems, and the more VFX I add, the more those problems are going to be just intensified, and so I'm having to work around those limitations and stuff as well. But with that said, I'm really quite happy with how this place has turned out. The vegetation is Nice. It was better. It ended up being better than I expected. I was a little worried again, as I mentioned before the time lapse, that I'd be a bit too limited, but it ended up working out quite nicely. The rocks and stuff break up the surface quite nicely, and the little pockets of grass sticking out, I think work quite nicely as well. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're about to approach the end of the time lapse here, our first back. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the space, on what we could maybe do to change it, tweak it, improve it, make it feel a bit better, or if we're ready to move on to the next enclosure already. But for now, we're ready to move on to regular speed. So back to regular speed. All right, folks, we are back from the time lapse, and I gotta say, I'm really pleased with how that one went. I was actually a little concerned, I'm not gonna lie to you, that it was going to be a little rough around the edges and not go so smoothly. I was a little worried that I'd feel, out of sorts and uncomfortable with all the tools, because it's been some time, but it was kind of like riding a bike. I'll be honest with you. It just kind of took a second or two to get familiar with it, and then it all started feeling pretty natural. Now, what didn't do me any favors is that this was very different from my usual, what I think is my strength. I really dove in with what I think typically is my weakest style of enclosure. I'm always trying to improve this kind of stuff, so I feel like I took it upon myself to challenge myself right off the bat over here. But it's open spaces. It's a lot more like naturally inclined rather than constructs, whether they are stone constructs or structural constructs. You know what I mean, right? Like whether they look natural but are still this, for example, I would call a construct. It's a centerpiece that was built, as opposed to, say, for example, what we have over here, where it's relatively plain. Pun, of course, entirely intended. But the planes approach that I've done, over there and over here, is something I find is typically my weaker suit, and I thought I'd test myself, I guess. It wasn't intentional at first. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into until I actually started. But I am pretty pleased. I feel like I kept some of those old tricks up my sleeve and some great ideas that I got from comments many episodes ago now, in how to integrate some of these play spaces, I guess, and make them feel a bit more like integrated, and that is touching on, for example, what we had going on over here. So hopefully some of that's come through, and hopefully y'all like this this new space. I'm quite pleased with it. I think it'll obviously need some sprucing up as we unlock some of the meerkat enrichment items, like they have a little log that they like running through, stuff like that. So definitely we'll get some touch-ups. What I'm very curious about actually is, will they be able to come through here and go up here? I don't think so. I think it might be a little too steep at the end over here. But if they're able to go in, I might be happy enough with that, because I feel like if I were to try and make this so that they're able to actually walk out, I think it would smooth out so much that it wouldn't actually feel like what I was going for, which is a little burrow hole. Now, meerkats make their own holes in the ground in the game. There's a mechanic and a system for that, which is great, but I thought it'd be nice to have a slightly bigger one to kind of like reference their living, how they live, and then also take advantage of this two-tier approach to this enclosure, which I think has turned out quite nicely. We've got a space to drink over here, so they should be coming down fairly often. We got some food enrichment opportunities down over here. I do believe this ramp is smooth enough for everybody to walk down, including our keepers, I mean. And then up over here we have some feeding. We've got some the foraging, some sprinklers and stuff to play with. So hopefully we'll see the animals going up and down, and hopefully we'll get a good spread of them. I think this will work quite nicely. So why don't we go ahead and get the animals in here and see what they have to say, and then what our guests have to say. Let's take a look at animal trading really quickly, because I do need. Well, let me actually check over here. Animal storage. We got to wait until I actually go to quarantine first, of course. I need a female aardvark, and a couple more male meerkats wouldn't hurt either. Let's start with the aardvark. A female aardvark. Ooh, nice. It's like the game heard me. These aren't bad stats. Sure, why not? 22. Thank you. Go ahead and send you over to quarantine as well. That was a risky click. But no, that worked out nicely. And do we have some more meerkats we want to get in here? Again, male meerkats. Nyasha. Don't we already have you? Yeah. Wait, no, that's my storage. Always throws me off. When I click on something called animal trading, I expect the first place for the screen to go to be the animal market for some reason. I don't know if I'm justified in that, but that's the vibe I get. You know, this is actually... These are not bad stats. A second Nyasha, I suppose. Sure. We'll adopt you, send you into quarantine as well. And then as... Oh, no. Too risky, these clicks. There we go. As those guys go to quarantine, get checked up and all that kind of stuff, why don't we go ahead and resume time for the first time in a long time at the zoo. Get the waterfall started again. At one point, I was just like, why does this look so empty over here? I remember this being a lot more of an active space, and I was like, oh, right, of course, the waterfall VFX don't kick in unless you've unpaused it first. And then we can pause again, and they'll stay, but you gotta unpause it first. But let's go ahead and get some of these. Well, the thing about education boards is that you can't really... You can put them up, but you can't assign them until the animals arrive. Where are you going, and with what? Probably an animal needing a checkup. But yeah, I would like to get the signage and stuff down as well, right? So why don't we... It's going to be interesting trying to intersperse the educational speakers. Make sure that we're not overwhelming the speakers for the aardvark and the meerkat. It's gonna take some rather balancing, I think. Oh, come on, let's pull back. There we go. Go ahead and slap you over here. We'll assign the right animal when we can. Unfortunately, it's weird to me that... I guess I get it, but you know, I should be allowed to assign any animal. It'd be nice if I could get like a little search bar over here and just type in aardvark and then assign the aardvark, even though the aardvark isn't here yet. I understand why they might not want to do that, because by not doing it, you avoid the potential for a player to do it incorrectly without realizing it. So I understand it's a good way to avoid that kind of a mistake. But I just don't know how likely a mistake like that is in the first place. There you go. We got some aardvark. We got some... we'll have aardvark, meerkat, aardvark. Can I get another... Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I feel so bad. I just popped a balloon. I feel so bad when I do that. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I feel like... I feel really bad when I pop someone's balloon. It feels mean. Completely unintentional. Can you imagine being at the zoo and somebody comes around and pops like your or your child's balloon, and then you gotta get a new one either for yourself or for your child or whatever? Because they're obviously upset because some lunatic came through and popped their balloon. That's not very cool. I don't think that's very cool. All right, I guess we're just waiting for quarantine over here, aren't we? Shouldn't take too long. Let's go ahead and get these guys out of their boxes. Why am I not getting the little pop-up over here that lets me immediately get them out of their boxes? What's going on here? Search for the Nile monitor, please and thank you. Oh my god, I've got so many. Now, a lot of them are, yes, juveniles, but still, holy. How do I check which ones are in a box so that I can unbox them? While we're in trades. Yeah, dude, we gotta do a trade session soon. What is today? This is Thursday's episode. I think we'll talk about it. Because I want to do a temperature check. So y'all let me know what you think about it in the comments. But it won't be next time. It won't be the Saturday episode. Maybe it'll be the Tuesday episode. We do same time as always. We do a live stream instead of the regular episode release. So it would be Tuesday midnight Eastern time. We go live. We chat. We chill. We trade a bunch of animals. Maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming plans and stuff like that. And then we can stop worrying about some of this because it's getting a little overwhelming. It's a little much. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a little much. But it does look like our animals here are all ready to move. Check marks across the board. Let's just wait for Omosupe here as well, and then we'll move them all at the same time. I think it'll just take a couple more seconds. I don't think I'm too concerned about that. We'll get the speakers on afterwards as well, and then we'll see how the guests and stuff feel about it. By the way, folks, I want to ask a very quick question. Might seem like a strange question, but where did he go? Well, it looks like I got to take care of some other stuff in the meanwhile. We got fighting due to overcrowding of cheetahs. I do know one of my cheetahs was about to mature, so I'm not surprised if that's the case over here. Yeah, we got to move a couple of you. Come on, scroll down. I always hate nested scroll bars. Send all of you to the trade center. You know what? Why don't we go ahead and release... Well, I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and send you to the trade center. Send the trade center. Will again, this trade center is getting fuller and fuller, and the longer I wait, the longer, the worse it's going to be. You know what I mean? The worse the trade session is. Worse, air quotes. The trade session is going to be, the more encumbered I'm going to feel by it. Right, the question I was going to ask, that might seem a little strange, but if you have an opinion on it, not everybody needs to have an opinion on this, not everybody will have an opinion on this, but I'm curious, for those of you that do have an opinion on this, let me know what you think about the audio quality of this episode over here. I actually meant to ask it for my video on Workers and Resources Soviet Republic that released earlier this week as well, but I completely forgot to ask. However, I did get somebody answering that question without me asking it, which was great. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the audio quality, because I've moved to a new space. There's a bit of experimentation that needs to be done. There's a bit of a testing going on. And I think the audio quality is a lot better, but I'm just curious about how people feel. I'm still tweaking, still making some adjustments, so you'll maybe hear a change here and there over the next handful of episodes, over the next handful of days or weeks even, as I try to modify the space and modify mic positioning and stuff like that. There's a lot of nuance, but I get very particular about audio. I can be very, very particular. I bought some new equipment with the new space, and alongside the new table that I got. Again, if you don't know about this, it's on my Twitter as well. Link to that is in the description down below. But got some new equipment, getting some upgrades going on, and things like that. It's always fun to try and improve, not just from a content perspective, what's going on the channel, but also from a just from a overall experience perspective and an overall quality perspective. I look back on some of my first videos and I have a good laugh sometimes. I kind of wonder, like, wow, why did people watch this video? I'm glad that they did, but wow, the audio quality was really quite something. And that was, even then, I really wanted to have good audio quality, but I had, of course, limitations in terms of, like, I had to figure out, I had to prioritize, right? So it was an interesting start to the channel, and I very quickly worked on improving that, because that was one of the first things I wanted to improve. And over the years, of course, it's something I keep revisiting, both audio and video quality. You'll see, of course, relatively recently, about a year now, actually, I don't know if you want to call that recent or not, but relatively recently, I would say, we've been getting, all my uploads have been at 2K resolution. I did that upgrade because I thought, for people who are watching at 2K, or even for people who are watching at 1080, because of how YouTube compresses videos, the upgrade makes a big difference. So I don't know, I like that kind of, I look out for that kind of stuff. And now I've been rambling about it for so long, but I guess I ramble about things that I care about, I suppose. Y'all who are familiar with the channel know that very well by now. All right, looks like we've got our animals in. Looks like these guys are having a good time. Look at that little run. Look at that run. It's so adorable. I think they did a fantastic job with the meerkats. I think they look absolutely amazing. Very well animated, very well like modeled and everything. But like, are we surprised? I guess. Are we surprised? All right, looks like we do have some escape. I was a little worried about this being too low, and I'm glad I checked. Well, it looks like we have some escape routes, not for the aardvarks. They're a little bit too bulky and chunky, I guess, but the meerkats for sure. Let's take a quick look, though. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I got the wrong thing selected there. There we go. Ah, the aardvarks can escape as well. Okay, fair enough. We'll... that's unfortunate. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. We'll have to make some adjustments there then. But I do want to check. They're able to come in here. They're not able to go all the way up. That's not a surprise. They're able to tuck in there and there as well. The meerkats, you guys are a bit smaller. What about you guys? So you're obviously able to escape up there as well. You are able to... You're not even able to come down here. That's weird. That's strange to me that they can't come down here. I would expect, if the aardvark, bulky as they are able to use this ramp over here, I'd expect the meerkat to be able to as well, but it looks like they actually get stuck up over here. Fair enough. We'll have to fix that. We'll also have to fix this. Okay. Let's go ahead and make some edits here. Can I nudge you over? Just say there. Yes, I can. So that should block this off. We should be good there. And then over here, I had a feeling this would be a problem. I was just hoping it wouldn't be a problem, but I think I was lying to myself. Go ahead and nudge you over like that. What I'm hoping to do here is kind of make like a fence kind of a thing, like I've got going around the rest of it. like a very low kind of a fence. Down to here. Over to here. Come on now. I'm not the... They recently changed how the placement of these barriers and stuff works. I'm not the biggest fan of it, I'll be honest. It's so much easier for it to get messy. Like, you're not able to see like the depth, and for me that's maybe it's just me, but it makes it a little bit more challenging to get this to work exactly how you want it to work. Go ahead and put you down over there. I mean, what I would probably actually want to do is curve that like this instead, and then we'd make it into the wooden. Nope. What I meant. Undo that. There we go. Select that. Let's go ahead and pull this all the way down. And hopefully... Oh, come on. Surprised. I think it's that section. Honestly, making... Come on. What's going on here? When did I put that down? Putting down barriers is one of the most like painful experiences sometimes with this game. Like, why? What was going on there? What happened? What did I click to make that happen? All right, we're fine. Everything's okay. Can I transfer you into wooden logs? No, because this piece I think is a little too far in. Do that. Come on now. Like, it doesn't tell you where there's trouble. It just tells you that there is trouble. I guess I'm too close to the path. I guess that might have been it. I have like a checklist of like a mental checklist of like what it might be, and that's just basically what I do every time I get the obstructed like warning. It's like, okay, which one of the various causes that I've seen in the past might this be? I wish it was a bit more like blatant in its explanation as to why something's not working. All right, so hopefully that does the trick. This must be too high for them to climb. I think they were only able to get down here because they were able to get up over there. So why don't we go ahead and unpause real quick and see what these guys have to say about this. I'm pretty sure we got them. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, excellent. But this is not excellent. This is far from it, in fact. I want to make sure these guys are able to... It's pretty wild to me, actually. This is the first for Planet Zoo on this channel, adding 2 animals at once. It's kind of it's kind of wild. Like, I wonder if I can get a thumbnail where I can get both of them in, you know? Recalculate. Okay, so it'll let them down to here. Wonder, do I need to pull or do I need to push? We're gonna need a new male giant anteater soon. I gotta remember that. And by the way, of course, folks, I need a name for this enclosure as well. Again, meerkats and aardvarks included. So if you have any thoughts on names for this enclosure, drop them in the comments down below. As always, I love looking through the comments for suggestions, thoughts, and opinions, and I love looking at name suggestions as well, of course. So if you've got any, drop them down below, and I will integrate one for this enclosure next time. I don't think it should take me longer than you know, until next time to get this enclosure named. I can't imagine something going horribly sideways and delaying me on putting a name down. But of course, I got to get the name down, not just from a technical perspective, but also from a visual perspective. I want to get the sign down as well, right? No way they can escape from up over here. Are you kidding me? They can climb that? All right, fair enough. I'll adjust that. That's for the aardvarks. And the meerkat. Looks like they've generated a fairly large crowd already. Meerkat, you're good. Up there. What about down over here? Okay, good. Yeah, that was just the barrier not going out enough. Let's go ahead and get rid of these trees. It's actually blocking access down over here, and I'd rather our animals hopefully be able to go down this way. Come on. I gotta smooth this out a little bit, it looks like. That's not a problem. Push this down a bit. See if that does the trick. Come on, reassess. There we go, beautiful. I want to come down this way. It looks like they're not able to climb up this way. No surprise, but I don't think I want to overdo it because like I was saying earlier, if I actually make it accessible, I feel like it's not going to have the look that I was going for. So it's like, you know, it's either way, it's not exactly what I wanted, and I think I prefer what it is now, where it looks like what I wanted as opposed to where it works like what I wanted, because if it works like what I wanted, then it doesn't look like what I wanted, which means that it isn't what I wanted like at all, right? Because if it looks different, then it is something completely different. You know what I mean? Hopefully you know what I mean. All right, but we've got these. Oh, what an opportunity! I was just about to say, I wonder if I'll ever get the chance to get both animals like in here at the same time, and what are the chances? It's always challenging to get a good thumbnail shot. But I wonder if there's this camera mode. Oh yeah, no, it's not the same thing as they used to have. There's the NVIDIA like photo mode or whatever it's called that you used to be able to use. I used to be able to use in this game, and I think everybody used to be able to use in this game. But for some reason, some update somewhere on someone's part broke it, and now it's no longer a thing I can use. And I'm quite upset about that because you can get some really nice visuals, some really nice depth of field and stuff going on. Oh, this guy's been through some stuff, eh? Unfortunate, but yeah, that's no longer an option. You'll actually be able to tell in my thumbnails when that stopped being an option. This might be a thumbnail. I don't know. I feel like they all kind of blend into each other. You know, one thing I haven't checked actually is oh, they like the space. Pretty happy. Need a bit more sand. Okay, a little bit too much plant coverage. But are you unhappy? No, it's a bit too much, but it's not enough to actually make them unhappy. So that's good. We're good across the board over here. Enough like adults and everything as well. What about you guys? A little bit more long grass, a little bit more short grass. They're fine with the sand as well. Are they unhappy about the... nope, they're okay with the plants. Again, a little bit too much coverage, but not enough to make them upset. So we need to add a little bit of a few different things, actually. So let's go ahead and terrain. First of all, get you selected over here. Let's deal with these guys first. Terrain, paint some of that long grass, unfortunately. Not the biggest fan of the long grass, but there you go. Not too much, not too much. And the short grass, a little bit more short grass. Maybe around over here, where we've got a little bit of greenery already. I think it would make most sense, right? Right around the front there. Come on now. So close. Right around the front over here. Let's go. There we go. Beautiful. And we need sand for our meerkats. I think if we can add some sand, maybe some rough or some coarse sand, I should say, down over here, instead of where we have soil, that might do the trick. Lost some long grass there. There we go. Let's see if the... still need a fair bit more sand, actually. Oh, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get some sand in here. I don't think anybody cares too much for soil. But we can go ahead and do that. Alright, we can go ahead and some sand up over here. Get rid of some of the rock, maybe. Okay. Don't want to get rid of the long... grass. I wonder if we can. 17%. Find that sweet spot here, because I feel like I'm stealing grass. You know. 19%. There we go. 20%. All right, cool. So that's that. Let me just quickly now again double check these guys. Yeah, still need. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Going to go ahead and get some of the long grass back over here. Kind of tucked into existing grass. And some short grass. Where do we have, like, rocks, you know? Soil. There we go. A bit of soil over here we can swap out. And hopefully that'll do the trick. And please, everybody. You can see, by the way, the holes that the meerkats are borrowing already. I quite like it. God damn. I knew that was going to happen. All right, let's get some sand back inside. There we go. Beautiful. That's got to be it, right? That's got to be it. Yeah, beautiful. Excellent. Everyone's happy. Everyone's pleased. I'm pleased. Hopefully you're pleased as well. I wonder if I can get... Still keeping an eye out for that, like, optimal, like, thumbnail shot, you know? Oh, that's great. Look at that. Look at that little hop you're getting over here. Another meerkat up over there. Yeah, seem to be having a decent time, though. I think they're enjoying their space well enough. I love this. This is like traffic passing in both directions. Oh, there we go. You can kind of tell what the meerkat is. It's funny how well camouflage can work sometimes. Just big meerkat butt over here. And aardvarks are so interesting to look at. They really have that pig snout thing going, don't they? Oh my god, that was going to be a traffic incident. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm really glad they're using both top and bottom like levels and stuff like that. I want to go ahead and get the... oh, yeah, look, see, I want them to go in here and stuff. I don't mind so much that they're not able to pop back out or anything. Why don't we go ahead and get the speakers in here as well? That's where there's going to be a bit of a challenge in trying to fit these speakers. Because we're really tightly packed over here, actually. So this has got to be an aardvark. No, aardvark. Got to make sure there's no overlap. There. Sure, let's do that. And then over here, got the meerkat. I think we have an escaped animal. Or people really need to use the washroom. Meerkat, let's go. Volume adjustment. Go. Duplicate you over to here. Again, we want the aardvark. Cool. Now, do I want another one over here? I think so. Let's get one over here, just for the meerkat, and make it a little bit louder. A bit more coverage there. Cool. What do we have over here? Animals hungry. Animal died. Welfare has attracted protesters. What is? Oh, there we go. There's the escaped animal. Call the bet. It is what I assume it is. We got a lot of hungry animals as well, which I don't like. Call a keeper. Call keeper urgently. Yes, please. These guys are hungry. Let's get some food over here, right? Get some food over here quickly. I might need to get some more feeding trays and stuff down over here. Getting some African painted dog. Babies soon. And of course, night has fallen. Forgot how nice our lighting passes made this place look. I mean, obviously, it's still like twilight kind of a thing. There is still some natural light doing some heavy lifting, I would say. Gotta get some lighting in here as well. Where are our little guys? Where are we? Got you hanging. It's gonna get real dark here real soon. The meerkats are like impossible to spot. Oh, there we go. There they are. I was just saying, they're like impossible to spot because they're so tiny. But I guess the shadows they cast can be quite large. Watch out, lights coming on. Wow, that was bright. Pretty pleased overall with this space. Pretty pleased overall. Coming together quite nicely. And again, I'm happy they're using both the top and bottom layer as well. There's I was a little worried that that I'd have trouble fitting the two-tier approach over here, but it's worked out quite nicely. Curious if we'll get offspring or anything anytime soon. Nom honor is maturing. Oh, that's going to be some trouble soon. Yeah, well, that's going to be some trouble right now. Go ahead and send a bunch more now over to the trading center. We're going to have so many nom monitors to trade out. You know what? I'm actually going to release these guys to the wild. I've got so many already. Off you go. Back down to the bottom. Let's get these guys to the trading center. Now we got Nisar down over here as well. To the trade center, please. Beauty. The rest are still young. Alright. It's gonna be a messy trade session. It's gonna be a messy trade session. Alright, what are we looking at here? Back down over here. Things are looking pretty good, I think. Wait, did another now monitor just now mature? No, that's still the old notification that's coming through. I was like, wait, what? They're still maturing? That seems like rapid offspring, because they'd have to be born, you know, offset to each other if they're going to be maturing slightly offset to each other. This is fun, because you got a little meerkat burrow over here as well as the aardvark back there. Hopefully I can catch them actually burrowing at one point. They're quick little creatures. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, come on. Get rid of that forced perspective. I think you know you're looking at a meerkat at this point. Okay, now you definitely know you're looking at a meerkat. There we go. That's our first thumbnail back, I think. You got that nice kind of golden hour, orange, yellow tints. You got both animals in here. Again, I think that's the first time we've done that, right? Added 2 animals in one episode? I think so. It's quite nice seeing them. It looks like they're interacting. And the size difference makes me think of, well, you know what it makes me think of. I imagine, I'll give you one guess as to what it makes me think of, the size difference between the two of them. You gotta wonder, why didn't the Lion King do an aardvark and a meerkat? I'm sure there's an explanation and a reason somewhere out there in some director's notes or writer's notes book somewhere, you know? These on the topic of them, these guys constantly escaping through the glass is really... There's a couple things in this game that have started bumming me out from time to time, and I was really hoping they'd be fixed on my return, but no, they seem to still be here, and I think... I wouldn't be surprised, but I think that all the devs are probably going to do with this game now is add a bit more DLC here and there, maybe at most, but not really go too heavy on patches unless they're game-breaking. Now again, you know, the average, like numbers-wise, I should say, to be clear, the average person probably is not dealing with a lot of the technical problems that you're seeing in this playthrough, because I like to really push things in wacky ways sometimes, in unreasonable ways even, you could say. So, you know, it's not necessarily a problem that needs tackling, but some of the problems definitely, I would say, are problems that need tackling, like the barrier not being registered properly. Nadale, we got to go ahead and move you to the trade center, please. Don't need this alpha fighting among our silverbacks. Saw the most interesting thing. This might have been before the little hiatus we took, but I saw the most interesting thing of a set of 3 silverbacks, brothers, that were working together to maintain alpha status for their eldest brother, or for their biggest brother, their strongest brother. And it blew my mind because, you know, that's not really the norm. But it was I believe it was 3 brothers. One of them was the alpha, but the other 2 were also silverbacks, males, silverbacks, that were helping their brother maintain his reign. And I thought that was super cool. I thought that was really interesting. It's funny the kinds of like exceptions you see to the rules out there. You see them often. And it gives you some insight into how, I think, little we actually know, you know, and how much we pretend to know. How much we state as fact. Just drowning himself for a drink. Just drowning himself for a drink. The serious injury, man. The notifications don't stop, eh? All the vet urgently. I like, they've updated this. They now let you know that somebody is in fact assigned. On that note, though, I do need to go ahead to the zoo, over to staff, over to work zones, to Africa Center. We got to add, of course, our newest enclosure here. And again, folks, I do need a name for this new enclosure, so if you have one in mind, go ahead and drop one in the comments down below. And of course, if I have somehow missed an older comment where you made a request, especially for like sponsorships or staff naming or anything like that, let me know in the comments down below as well, and I will try to catch up to everything ASAP as quickly as possible as we resume hopefully our regular schedule. We got, again, just a handful more animals to add from the base game. We've got all the creepy crawlies and stuff that I'm hoping to add up over here. We got the African elephants. We got a couple of animals to add in over here as well. And then I'm hoping to have all that kind of like done in time for Jurassic World Evolution 2, or perhaps Prehistoric Kingdom. I did some coverage on Jurassic World Evolution 2 on the channel, actually. If you haven't watched it yet, I suggest giving it a look. If you're not, because when I previously mentioned this, I saw a lot of comments that were not interested in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and I totally understood, of course, like where they were coming from. But then I actually got to play the game a couple of weeks ago, and I got to make a video on it a couple of weeks ago. And my own opinion is quite different than what I'd expected going into it. So maybe give that a watch and let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm hoping to get Elite Zoo South, you know, with at least all the base animals in place by the time that one of those games drops, and we try to, like, you know, transition over maybe, but with Planet Zoo, I'll still be keeping Planet Zoo alive on the channel. You know, when they drop DLC, when they do big updates and stuff like that, I still will be coming back to Planet Zoo, so don't worry with regards to that. I would say, I know quite a few of you are concerned about the longevity and the future of Planet Zoo on the channel. If I canceled it already, you know, because of this last couple of weeks of what seems like silence, but no, it's not canceled. I do still enjoy the game. I do still want to do more with the game. And I do also still have to consider like some other games that I want to cover on the channel too. So I'm still mulling over things and still trying to figure stuff out. But for now, Planet Zoo is back, folks. And I hope you enjoyed this session, this return session. If you did, you know what to do. Let me know down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any thoughts, opinions, feedback, suggestions, again, leave them down below. They will all get read and tackled in one way, shape, or form. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big ol' thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.